Hi, I'm Alex from E2 Language. In this lesson from home, I'm going to talk to you about IELTS General Writing Task 1. I want to explain to you what happens in IELTS General Writing Task 1, and importantly, I'm going to share with you information about the marking criteria. I'm going to show you what an examiner thinks about as they mark your work and what you should be thinking about as you write as well. Let's get into it. IELTS General Writing Task 1 overview. Let's start with the main question, the important question. What is Task 1? Well, you're always going to write a letter in General Task 1. You get a prompt which looks something like this. So we have instructions up the top here. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. Now remember that the IELTS writing test takes 60 minutes and it's up to you to divide Task 1 and Task 2. They recommend spending 20 minutes on this task, and we do too here at E2. Task 1 is only worth 1/3 of your writing score, so don't spend longer than that. Now under here, we've got more instructions. Write at least 150 words. Also important information, you should aim for more like 200. You do not need to write any addresses. Begin your letter as follows. Dear, now sometimes they'll tell you how to begin, dear sir or madam. Sometimes that's not there. Now this one, because it says dear sir or madam, I know that it's a formal letter. And the task will tell me that too. The task is here in the box. Let's read. You were hurt in a small accident in a store last week. Write a letter to the store manager. In your letter, introduce yourself, describe what happened, say what action you would like the manager to take. Now these 3 points here, 1, 2, 3, these are the bullet points, and the criteria refers to these explicitly, and it's important to know what they are. We'll come to that in a moment. There are basically 3 different letter types that you might get in IELTS General Task 1, and we cover them all in our course, and we cover them regularly in the live classes as well. One of them is formal. This is when you write a letter to someone you have never met. It might be the manager of a hotel or a newspaper editor, something like that. You could also get a semi-formal letter, which is a letter to someone that you know, but not on a personal basis. So you might know their name, but you wouldn't refer to them with their first name. This could be your manager at work or perhaps a landlord. And the third type of letter is informal or casual. This is when you're asked to write a letter to a friend or a family member. The good news is, even though there are 3 different types of letters and unlimited number of people you might be asked to write to, here at E2 we always follow the same structure. So if you follow this, you are on the right track to a good score. So this is the E2 letter structure. And it's pretty simple. We start with a greeting, dear. Then we go straight into the introduction or the purpose, and sometimes both together. So you want to say, in some cases, you want to say who you are. And in all cases, you want to say why you're writing. Say it early. Then we get into body 1. This is a little paragraph, and it is all about bullet point 1. Remember that from the task card. Body 2, of course, is bullet point 2, and you guessed it, body 3, bullet point 3. Now we put each one into its own little paragraph. Then we have an ending. We wrap up the letter. Sign off, could be yours faithfully, yours sincerely, warm wishes, and your name, and that's it. Follow this letter structure for all letters. You can't go wrong. Now, of course, each letter is going to be quite different in terms of language and tone. So for more information about how to write a formal, informal, and casual letter, make sure you check out the relevant sections in the platform at e2language.com. When you come to the course on e2language.com, click here and then go to Writing Task 1. So here you'll find an overview section with an overview of the test, which I've already given you, a video about marking, and you can download the official criteria from here. Then we've got a section on formal, semi-formal, and informal letters. Within each section, you'll find a quick overview, what is an informal letter, a methods video, really, really important here, and then samples, activities, and practice for you to do as well. So now you know what you have to do in IELTS General Task 1, but how do you get your score? And more importantly, how do you get a really good score? For that, we need to look at the marking criteria. You've probably seen this document before. You can Google it to find it, or you can download it from your course on E2 Language. This is the public version of the Writing Task 1 band descriptors. And there are 4 criteria. They are task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and an examiner gives you a score for each one. They give you a score from 0, which is if you didn't turn up, all the way up to 9, which is for an expert speaker. Now, there's obviously a lot of information in here, but I'm going to distill for you from band 7 to 9 what you need to do to score well. Those criteria again are task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. Let's look at them in a little more detail. What is task achievement? How can you score well? So in this part, it's all about presenting a clear purpose to your letter. Now, by the way, this is all included in that very detailed criteria sheet that I showed you. So feel free to have a look for yourself. This is just a simplified version. So the examiner wants you to present a clear purpose to your letter. Use an appropriate tone consistently. So purpose, tone. Present and extend each bullet point. Remember those 3 points on the task card. And be sure to include only relevant information. Let's look at these first two, the purpose and the tone, with reference to the beginning of 3 separate letters. So up here, we've got a letter beginning, Dear Sir or Madam. In the middle, Dear Mr. Long. Down the bottom, Dear Carlos and Paula. Now, this is reflective of a formal beginning, semi-formal and casual, and that's exactly what we've got here. Okay, so remember I mentioned the importance of purpose and tone. Let's look at this formal letter, first paragraph or first opening couple of sentences. It begins, I am writing in connection with my recent stay at your hotel, the Hilton, in Toronto last month. Unfortunately, due to a malfunctioning heater in my room, my short holiday turned into a disaster. So as a reader, as an examiner, I know what this person is writing about. They have a complaint about a stay in the hotel. So it's very clear, the purpose is clear to me, and also the tone is appropriate. I am writing in connection with, so no contractions here. Unfortunately, due to malfunctioning, all of this is language that you wouldn't use if you were writing to a friend, right? So this is formal, impersonal, and quite polite, even though it's a complaint letter. Down here, semi-formal letter. Dear Mr. Long, I am writing to ask for an extension on my next rent payment, which is due on the 3rd of November. So this is a letter to a landlord, so somebody that you know but not very well. Again, the purpose is clear immediately. Why are you writing? I'm writing to ask for an extension on my rent. And also formal tone. I am writing to ask for which is due. You wouldn't write so formally if you were writing to a friend. So appropriate tone, clear purpose. What about a casual letter? Let's see. Dear Carlos and Paula, I'm just writing, look at that different tone here. I'm just writing to thank you both so much. So a different tone, but still clear purpose. Why are you writing? I'm writing to thank you both so much for your letter and the lovely photos of my holiday in Medellin. What great memories. Again, casual, exclamation point, totally different tone to this letter and this letter. So these are 3 examples of how important purpose and tone can be, even in the first couple of sentences. This is something that we work on all the time in live classes. So that was purpose and tone. The other 2 in task achievement are presenting and extending each bullet point and including only relevant information. So I'll just show you an example of a full task 1. This is a semi-formal letter, starting with Dear Mr. Long, ending with Yours sincerely. By the way, we cover the opening and closing of these in our methods videos in the course. But what you'll notice when you look at this is there's the opening here with the purpose. And then this is bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3. So see how they are quite detailed. There's 2 or 3 sentences to deal with each bullet point. So an examiner looks for this pretty much straight away. They'll check, is your purpose clear? Then they'll say, okay, where's bullet 1? Where's bullet 2? Where's bullet 3? If you miss bullet 3, that's going to be a disaster for your task achievement score. You'll drop down to 5 or 4. But if you've got all 3, you've presented them, and the examiner is also looking, have you extended them? So you haven't just written a really short sentence, 1, 2, 3. You've added extra detail in there. I'll let you read this in your own time and see how I've done that. The other thing to keep in mind as you write is relevance. Remember, that was the 4th little checkbox on the task achievement screen. So yes, you want to add a bit more detail to each of your bullet points, but don't go wildly off topic. Make sure you're still writing something which is relevant to Mr. Long. So, always keep in mind who you're writing to and what you're writing to them for. So extend, but don't get irrelevant. So those are 4 things to keep in mind, and that's just the first criterion. Let's go a little quicker through the other 3. Coherence and cohesion is next. This is all about linking and organization. To do well, you need to organize your information logically. How do you do that? It's easy. You need to plan first. You also need to use paragraphs. Now, it's a bit different to writing task 2, but in the sample I just showed you, you noticed how those small paragraphs made my work quite clear. And just like task 2, you need to use a range of linking devices appropriately. In the methods videos, we go into this in quite some detail, so make sure you check them out. The third criterion is lexical resource, a fancy way to say vocabulary. To do well here, just like in task 2, you need to demonstrate a wide range of vocabulary. Show the examiner what you've got. Use vocabulary precisely as well. Don't throw in a word that is not suitable. And be sure to spell correctly. If you're doing the test on the computer, this is particularly relevant. Beware of typos. Always edit, edit, edit at the end. And the 4th criterion is grammatical range and accuracy. To do well here, you've got to demonstrate a wide range of structures. Remember, the examiner can only mark what you show them. They can't mark what's in your head or what you know. Make sure you demonstrate it. Be sure to use some complex structures as well, and we have a link to a video on this in the description below. And just like vocab, use your grammar accurately. Again, this could be a matter of editing. It's also a matter of preparation. Do you know how to use your tenses correctly, prepositions, articles? All of that will come into play here. And the last one, use correct punctuation. Be careful with full stops, capital letters, and commas. So here's the full public version of the Writing Task 1 band descriptors again. Make sure you download it and have a read through if you want more information. And be sure to jump into the course, the Writing Task 1 section on your E2 language course, where you'll see more information about this. And in the practice activities, you'll also be able to assess your own work using our version of the criteria. Like most things in IELTS preparation, it's all about practice. Make sure you don't turn up to your test and write your first ever letter under test conditions. Before the exam, before the test, you should have written IELTS letters formal, informal, semi-formal, over and over and over, sometimes with the timer on, sometimes without the timer on. So my first bit of advice to you, or what you should do first, is start with the course materials. Go on to e2language.com, click on IELTS Writing Task 1, watch our methods videos, do the practice activities, have a go at the samples. Then, or in addition, come along to our live classes. So we have 3 Writing Task 1 classes each week, and we cover really, really important stuff related to the criteria. So make sure you sign up for those classes. If you can't make it, click on the recorded classes section as part of your E2 language package, and you can watch all the videos in there. And if you really want to improve, then you're going to need feedback, and we can help you there as well. In our writing intensive package, you can get 3 task 1s. If you have bronze, silver, or gold, you get assessments included in your package. When the teacher assesses your work, we look really carefully at your grammar and vocab, but we also look at task achievement, coherence, and cohesion, and provide you with lots of feedback on where you are and how you can improve. So make sure you take advantage of that if you've got those packages with us. Well, that's it from me. I look forward to seeing you in a live class really soon. Take care.